there are parts of the Bible that seem pretty random. One of those parts is when the Israelites are subjected to venomous serpents slithering through their camp, biting and killing them after they spoke against Moses. They were doing this because they were discouraged or impatient about reaching the Promised Land. But nothing in the Bible is random, so let's slide into this topic and see what strikes our attention. Everything in the Bible must be taken within context, so we have to look at what was going on as a whole to find some clarity here. In Numbers 20, they buried Aaron, who was the high priest, and are now going by the Red Sea. The Red Sea is the place where Israel gained their freedom from Egypt. However, now they are saying things like, "We have no food," yet God is providing holy manna to them every day. They state their soul loathes this worthless bread. Talk about ungrateful. This worthless bread they loathe is coming from God, who is in a pillar of smoke in the day and a pillar of fire at night. And what is hidden in this manna is the fact that the Messiah, Jesus, is the bread of life. So now, the gift of life that God gives them every day is equal to how the lost see the sacrifice of Jesus on the cross. In the eyes of the lost, Jesus disgusts them. They loathe to hear about how Jesus can save them. They detest the Christians who talk about salvation. We can see today a sense of the attitude they were projecting back then. Now, let's recap this whole thing and start connecting some dots. The high priest, Aaron, has died and was buried. The Israelites are passing the place of their escape from slavery, or their place of freedom. They are discouraged or impatient with God. They are no longer content with what God is providing, which, by the way, is enough. In fact, it's exactly what they need, just not what they want. They compare having their needs met to dying in a wilderness. So they loathe this worthless bread. In short, they reject the gift of God. And in rejecting the gift of God, which is freedom from sin, they get fiery serpents. But it doesn't stop there. The word chosen for fiery means serpent or snake, with poisonous venom. The snakes that are killing people fall in line with Romans 6:23, where it tells us the wages of sin is death. In short, when you reject God, you accept death. Self-preservation kicked in, and they asked Moses to intercede for them, which he did. But God gives Moses a strange cure to this plague. In Numbers chapter 21, verse 8, God tells Moses, "Make a fiery serpent and set it on a pole, and it shall be that everyone who is bitten, when he looks at it, shall live." Here's where strange and random turn into, "Praise you, God, for you have blown my mind." Numbers chapter 21, verse 9 says, "So Moses made a bronze serpent and put it on a pole. And so it was, if a serpent had bitten anyone, when he looked at the bronze serpent, he lived." First, God didn't tell Moses to make the fiery serpent out of bronze, but he did. Bronze is always a sign of judgment, and here's where it gets good. The promise to heal, from God, is conditional on each person. Anyone who's bitten, this is the condition, and looks to the fiery serpent on the pole, this is their responsibility or choice, shall live. This is God's promise. But the word God used for live is important. It means to keep alive, revive from death, and also has the implication of showing affection. Now, to put a snake on a pole, you need a crossbar. Thus, the snake was being held up on a cross. When those bitten by sin, bitten by death, looked to the cross. Where the fiery serpent was judged, they found life in death in the form of affection from God. We know on Good Friday the serpent was judged and lost all power over us if we look upon Jesus on the cross for our salvation. This entire event happened while Jesus was in the pillar of cloud and fire watching. This event is a sign, or blueprint, of what was to come. In case you think I'm making this up, let's see what Jesus has to say. In John chapter 3, verses 13 to 18, Jesus says, "No one has ascended to heaven, but he who came down from heaven, that is, the Son of Man who is in heaven. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal life. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. He who believes in him is not condemned, but he who does not believe is condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God." So when people hold up signs that say, John 3:16, it's fitting, since the serpent was held up. In closing, when we become ungrateful of the blessings and gifts of God, we run from him and into the arms of sin. But sin only bites, it never loves. It's like a vampire. It kisses to show affection, only enough to get into position to sink its fangs in and suck you dry, usually by injecting the venom of deceit first. Thank you for watching. For full messages on this and other topics, please follow us at the Canton Covenant Group channel. Thank you, and have a blessed week.